And now for something completely different.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
strap yourself in.
Because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening. How the devil are you? Welcome along. It's Monday and it's all going rather well because Spurs at the moment are being held by Fulham, which is good if you're not a Spurs fan, but not good for me because I predicted them to win 2-1. But let me just say, if you do follow our prediction show every week, Brad this week is having a nightmare, and I think just as I say that, Spurs have gone 1-0 ahead. Well, talk about a commentator's curse. And guess who it was that scored? Yeah, Roy Keane? Harry Kane. I was thinking Roy Keane, to be honest with you. 1-0. 1-0 to Spurs as we go in. So my 2-1 is still on. Come on, Spurs. Don't normally say that, but I need the point. But yeah, after an awful week in the prediction league, I think that Brad will be contacting Anthony soon, begging him on bended knees to come in and have another go. He's got 2 points so far this week. Not a good week for Brad. Not a good week. And as he went 3-0 to Spurs, the run continues. I think he may not even be top. But can I just say, he's got some great news. You may have seen that at the beginning. You may be able to see it scrolling along the bottom there. But yep, Leicester Till I Die are now part of the TalkSport Fan Network when it comes to podcasts. You'll still be able to get the podcasts in at the same place, but we'll be doing that in conjunction with TalkSport. So really pleased about that. And tomorrow night, we've got a couple of different shows this week because it's the FA Cup. Tomorrow night, there's a new quiz at 9 o'clock. The Price is Right. What is all that about, I hear you ask? What is all that about, Chris? Well, I will tell you tomorrow night. Tune in at 9 o'clock. And then Wednesday, we've had this guy on so many times. I've realised we didn't actually ever sit down and have a one-to-one about his time and his career. So we're going to be talking to Steve Lynex one-to-one in the conversation Wednesday at 9 o'clock as well. But this show is all about looking back at the weekend and last week. Maise, who's going to be joining us, we were hoping that she would be back tonight. She's been enjoying herself in Spain, went to watch a Barcelona game last night, the lucky devil, had a great time, so she's not with us quite yet. But when you've got somebody as beautiful as my next guest, who needs Maise when you have got the extremely, extremely gorgeous Anthony?
Oh,
look, ladies. Ladies, fight back. I'll get back, ladies. Get back. Nothing to say.
Blimey. The size of these arms, Chris, that's fighting the leaders off.
Oh, I can believe it, I mean, I believe you up for an award, the Golden Arse Crack.
Oh, well, that's a award that I would love to win, to be honest with you. I mean, Arsenal hasn't won a trophy for the Premier League for a while, so I just might as well win a trophy myself.
Well,
you know,
is it.
so
This is it. I don't know who'll win it first, your Arse or the Arsenal. That is the question. But
no, that is a good question.
I'm going to be honest with you, it is looking good. But look,
What,
you
my ass?
messaged me earlier, breaking news. I think everybody's computer has gone absolutely chaotic. And I think it's probably the least surprising breaking news of it. Well, the last week at least. Frank Lampard has been sacked by Everton after they got defeated by West Ham. And they're now looking for their 6th permanent manager in 5 years. I mean, not a surprise, Anthony, was it?
No, well, it's not a surprise at all, Chris. To be honest with you, I think he lasted so much, in this job. He was in this job for a long time. I think it was going around about maybe, blimey, about the last couple of months. We've been mentioning about Frank Lampard, with his role. Obviously, the game against West Ham, it was either going to be Frank Lampard or David Moyes to go. I think Moyes hang on in there by the skin of his teeth, but obviously he beat Everton, which obviously caused Frank to lose his job. And I'll be honest with you, Frank was in there for way too long. They should have got rid of him by Christmas, I feel.
Do you think for me, I think he was the wrong choice, full stop. I mean, when you're a club like Everton, and they're not a big club anymore, and I'm no disrespect, and if James is in, no disrespect to him, but, and don't get me wrong, I've never claimed Leicester a big club, but Everton aren't. I can't remember how long since they won something. They stayed up last season on the last day. By the penultimate game. Sorry, not the last game, the last but one game. And, that was Frank. They were in that position when he took over, but whether he improved them or not is another matter, but he kept them up. But surely in that particular situation, you need a manager to come in that can keep your club up. Simple as that. And rebuild it. Now, whether that's a Big Sam or a Sean Dyche, but if it happened with Leicester now, I wouldn't go and say, "Oh, let's give Wes Morgan the job."
No.
You need a manager that when you're fighting relegation, and it's not all his fault because Everton are in such a mess. But was he not the wrong choice from the start?
It's quite a hard one to answer, that one, because at the time you most probably would have thought, like obviously coming from his role at Chelsea, you most probably would have thought he would have suited like an Everton. Maybe, a lower club, so he can bring in, a few players, win some games, gradually float them up to the top of the league, like, sort of thing, going up the league. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. So it does make you think. I don't think his tactics are spot on. His method of coaching, I think, is all wrong. The best days he was at manager was at Derby. Let's be honest, and but it's like what you said. I think, when you're a team down at the bottom towards the Premier, you need that manager with experience, a guy that's been there, done it, and has made teams survive and gradually go up the league. By that, I mean Sean Dyche. He's the next candidate to come in to manage Everton. But, I mean, you could wish Frank all the best, but I'd rather wish the new manager that comes in, wish him all the best, and hope he does the right job for Everton. Because, let's be honest, if Everton's not in the Premier League next season, with these teams that's going out, it doesn't seem like a Premier League without an Everton Football Club in there, does it?
I mean, I'm going to take the opposing view to that, and I suppose, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but this I think is an Arsenal. Yours is an Arsenal comment versus what I'm about to say is a Leicester comment in the size clubs. Is that I don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, Man United have been relegated in the past. Liverpool used to be in the lower divisions before Bill Shankly. it's nice to see Everton go down. And if that means whether it's a Bournemouth or a Fulham or a Forest, one of the teams that hasn't been up long or has just come up, staying up, I'm all for that. I really, really am. And, as I say, I get fed up with teams that just cling on by the skin of the teeth every year. Wigan used to do it. Every year they would just stay up. And you think, for God's sake, go down and give somebody else a chance. And no, I would not miss Everton at all. And in a way, I actually think that it will do Everton good. Because I can remember when Leicester went down to the third tier, Ian Holloway was the manager. Wasn't a bad manager, because the next season he actually got Blackpool promoted to the Premier League. So we know he's not a bad manager. But we had just been around that avoiding relegation, bottom half of the second tier for so long. It was just a case of when we were going to get relegated, not if. And it gave us a chance to have a clear out, get rid of the dead wood, get rid of players that didn't want to stay because of where we were, etc., and get rid of those that weren't any good. And to me, that was the start of the climb, obviously, to the Premier League. And I don't necessarily think it would do Everton a bad thing to go down and rebuild.
No, I mean, you can look at it. Well, let's take last season into consideration. How long was Burnley in the Premier League, and they went down? And look where they're to now in the Championship.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Burnley fans have got used to them obviously winning games now, and they never won that many before. But I mean, with Everton, it's going to be slightly different with them obviously in the Championship. Whoever's the next manager is, if they are in the Championship, which is more than likely they will be, but they're going to have to clear the team, sort some players out. They'll sell players, they'll bring a few players in. But I don't think they'll do as well as what Burnley has done. I don't think they'll be top of the league in the Championship. I don't think that at all. I think they'll most probably finish around about top 8, maybe in the playoffs. But, I mean, it's sad times for when it comes to, a team you've well known for years, playing top flight football.
Obviously, you're a lot older than me, so you've known them. I'm only joking. I mean, it says it all there, doesn't it? Everton are now looking for their 6th permanent manager in 5 years. I mean, it's already been said, Terry, has said, at least they've got the balls to sack him. We haven't got the balls to sack, Rodgers. And don't forget, guys, tomorrow on the BBC webpage for Leicester City, do read my Tuesday talking point. Every Tuesday, the clue's in the name on the BBC Leicester City webpage. Very tongue-in-cheek this week, very tongue-in-cheek. But they replied to me saying my sarcasm does shine through. But, you've got to... I mean, if we get rid of Rodgers now, you can't say he's not had a decent chance. But, Lampard going in, like I say, I think was just the wrong choice. It was at Chelsea. Okay, got them into Europe, into the Champions League again. But what the squad he had, do you know what I mean? And he had some good youngsters coming through. At Burnley, the problem with the thing with Burnley is, and they're having a great season this season, they got rid of so many players when they went down because teams were coming in for them, and it always happens that, doesn't it? As bad as the team is to get relegated, teams come in for the players. They will lose. I mean, they're already talking about Gordon. He's been linked with us. He's been linked with Chelsea. There's a load of players that are going to be linked with leaving, and it won't be a bad thing. And it's not that they're short of money because they've got a very, very rich owner.
Well, yeah, they have got a rich owner. What's his name? Bill? Is it Ken?
Mashuri or somebody, isn't it?
Shuri, yeah, and you've got the actual owner as well.
So he's the owner, but you had Bill Kenyon, is it?
Bill Kenwright. Bill Kenwright.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how he became an owner because he was actually, believe it or not, he actually used to be in Coronation Street. But
yes, he did. Yeah. Well, he's a theatre entrepreneur, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, they were interviewing him.
He was in charge a lot during the Moyes years at Everton, etc.
He was, yeah. And to be honest with you, I don't think they'll ever find replace David Moyes. Even though he was manager there for years, he always got them round about, the top 8. He got them into a Champions League once, and I think that was going back in 2005, 2006.
Yes.
So I mean, that's the best football Everton has ever pretty much played. Getting into that Champions League, but it's like now. I mean, they've really got to look for the right manager. If it was me, I would have. It's like what I said. I would have sacked Frank back in December, got a new manager in January, because I got to be honest with you. Look at we're in a transfer window. I mean, they might get a new manager in, but is he guaranteed to maybe sign maybe 1 or 2 players, maybe a couple of players on a loan just to help him out? It's too late. It's too late now for Everton. They're going to miss that transfer window, and I think it's safe to say, Chris, they'll be a championship team next season. They will be.
I don't think, like I say, it will do them a lot of harm, and it's it's okay having money. Most clubs in the Premier League have got money of some description.
Yeah.
But Mashiri, who owns Everton, I think it's the first game since 2021 that he's actually been at. And it's okay having the rich owners. I mean, I'm going to use Arsenal as an example here. You've got owners that are prepared to back the club with money, whether you like them or hate them. And I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans out there that hate them, but you can never accuse, your Arsenal owners of not putting the money in. But what you've got now is a good manager to go with it. Exactly the same with Newcastle. Got loads of money, but if they didn't have the right manager in, it doesn't. And that's what Everton have not got right. When you've had 6 managers in 5 years, you've got to say something is going wrong.
Yeah, something is desperately going wrong. It's got to be going wrong, obviously, with the managers that they appointed, the players that they signed. But it doesn't matter with what they got there. A part of it, well, most of it, the butt stops with the board. Technically, So I think it may be a time that, Everton most probably go up for sale, and they need a new owner. They need a change all round, basically. New owners, obviously, as a new managers, they need to get rid of players, gradually new players, introducing new players into the team, maybe bringing some up from the reserves. And this is what I'm saying. This is when they're in the championship.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
just looking now on the screen, and I've seen Roy Hodgson's just been given an award by Fulham because he guided them to the highest ever finish. Of course, Roy's out of a job. Be careful. I mean, I always say be careful what you wish for. I don't think you can be too worried about getting anybody that's going to be any worse than Frank, to be honest with you. I think you would do a better job than that. Yeah. But with the owners,
if they got. Sorry,
all I was going to say was,
I was going to say,
want the owners out. Sorry, you go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
So I was going to say, it won't surprise me if they get a manager just for this season. Just in for this season, temporary. I mean, if they do get relegated, maybe it might not be a Sean Dyche. You don't know. You might see Wayne Rooney stepping in and taking over them in the Championship.
Yeah.
Terry's
just said the same there. I think if you are an Everton fan, if your present owners sell out, you don't know who you're going to get in. No. You've got a guy there with a lot of money that might just turn around and say, do you know what? I've had enough. I'll sell this for peanuts. Look at who Milan Mandrić sold Portsmouth to. He didn't know, but it was a criminal who's taken them right, who caused them so many problems that they dropped, all through the divisions. So it's an awkward one. But I think they're down this season, and I don't think it will do them any good if they stay up. Go down, get the parachute payments, and look, you see what it's like, don't you? Norwich keep bouncing back. Watford do. It might not just say do them a lot of harm going down, but Of course, the worry is now is all the clubs are looking over the shoulder going, don't sack your manager now. We might get Lampard.
Exactly, yeah.
But we'll obviously we'll be talking about, you know what I mean, Harry. But we'll be talking about different managers as we go through the game. But it is the review show. So let's have a look straight after this at last week's game.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Yeah, if you are listening on the podcast on Catch Up, we are now part of the TalkSport fan podcast family, and pleased to be so. So it shouldn't affect how you listen to us or where you can find us, but it's nice to be part of that organisation. Right. Going way back, it seems ages ago now, to last Wednesday, Palace, Man United. I mean, this surprised me because Man United have been going well.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, I had Manchester United down for a win in this game, but I knew it wasn't going to be a walk in the park because of obviously Crystal Palace team, what they've got, the players they've got, the manager with Patrick Vieira. Palace always seems to me, they always turn on, that they always flick that light on when they got the top games, the top teams to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we've had it before with Palace. I mean, we've lost them and they lost to them, and last season they beat our win run when we drew with them last season as well. So, you know, they could pull something out of the bag quite unexpected, this team. So
I was with you. I was with you. I had it down for a 4-0 win to United. That is why I never bet. And don't bet. Don't recommend betting, children. And remember, when the fun stops, stop. But yes, Blue Peter badge to the first fan that wants Liverpool. I've been impressed by Man United. I really have this season. I didn't think they'd be doing as well as they did. And I thought they would be finishing sort of outside the Champions League place because it's a rebuild for them. But as you can see there, you know, one of the weaknesses for Man United, they were giving away a lot of free kicks around the box, and eventually that cost them.
Well, it did, yeah. And like in the 92nd minute, I believe. I mean, I was watching this game and bits of it from what I can gather, but it's like what I said. I mean, it was a good game for Palace. I mean, they were giving away super free kicks because of the Palace way they attack, you know. And they were getting, it's like what they say, they're giving stupid free kicks away around the 18-yard box. And what happens in the end, the last free kick that he decided to give away, Palace exploited that and they got the goal. So
yeah,
and I mean, what a good free kick that was as well. Let's be honest.
It was. But, you know, I have a feeling Man United should probably have killed the game off before that anyway. And I think, you know, at the end of the season, they could be looking back at this game and going, that was one that got away from us, you know, because Palace haven't impressed me that much, to be honest with you. They're kind of, you know, up and down, and, you know, you just know they're going to finish mid-table like they always do.
Yeah. Is their way of form, their way of run? I mean, every team has like a slight dip, you know, obviously throughout the season. But Palace is like a non-tenuous one. It's like they'll win a game, then they'll draw one, lose their next three, and then they'll pull something out of a bag. Like, you know, obviously against Man United and this, and, you know, and other top teams. But in this game, Chris, I thought that Weghorst, he was up front, wasn't he? This was his first game he played for Man United, and I felt that he didn't play that bad against Crystal Palace. When he subbed him and took him off, that was when the game changed for Manchester United. I thought they went poor when he took him off.
No, fair point. You say, and with Palace, they never, like we said, like I was saying before, I hate those teams that always just manage to stay up. They're never that bad, Palace. You know what I mean? They're never sort of like they're fighting for relegation, but they're never sort of challenging for Europe. They're just sort of there.
No, they're not. Yeah, they're just there lingering. It's like most probably the way that we most probably describe them. They're like a bad smell.
Yeah,
Am I right by saying?
yes. And talking of bad smells, and they are winning 1-0 tonight, Tottenham.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, well, you know, I don't think I've ever been as shocked. But here we go. 2-0 up and then lose 4-2.
I was expecting Maise to come on then.
Sorry?
I was expecting Maise to come on then. But you said, well, here we go.
Yeah. Well, no, she couldn't make it live, but she's hearing with her laughing. You know. But I mean, at 2-0 up, you're thinking, wow, you know, a team like, well, any team really shouldn't be losing that lead, should they?
No, I mean, Man City wasn't in that game at all in the first half. They were absolutely dire, and obviously with Tottenham going, obviously going 2-0 up, it's, I was actually shocked that Tottenham was actually 2-0 up in the first half, and then you know what? I don't know what Pep actually said to that team at half time, but it worked.
Yeah,
and he even actually had a go at the guy that was interviewing him after the game. He said exactly the same. I don't know what you said at halftime, but it obviously worked. He said it doesn't make a difference what I say at halftime, but I still think you've got to be careful with your questions. He's like, what? Not being funny. I would have asked him the same, Chris. He said, what the hell do you say to your players at halftime? Just come out in the second half and score 4 goals. I mean, it was what? 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, wasn't it?
But something like that.
In the second half, yeah. And I mean, Maise, your ex-player Maise, what a player he was. He had a fantastic game against in this game. He was absolutely fantastic. You know, he scored a couple, set one up. His attacking ability, his age now, I think he's 32 now, and he's not far off that age.
He's getting on a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, he's really good. I mean, he's still got his pace, and he's like electric. When I was watching him on the pitch, it's like bloody hell.
Yeah. I mean, that does kind of sum up Tottenham's season in that one game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought they were going to go obviously downhill. You've got to think they've lost. You know, they've lost the previous game before to us, the North London derby. Then they lost to Man City as well. So they're there roundabouts. But I don't think they're going to get the top 4 this season. I think if I had to predict, I think round about 5th, maybe 6th for Tottenham. Thereabouts you're looking at.
I think so. Like you said, Alvarez got one after 51 minutes. And Haaland, of course, he had to get in there. Got one after 53. You know, it was like, wow. I mean, Tottenham were just blitzed away. And then only 10 minutes after that, Maise got his first before adding sort of that, one at the last minute. But and again, though, I don't know what this says about Manchester City, because the other night I actually said that Man City may throw second place away. And yet they've now, since I've said that, they've had 2 really good games. But you don't know what Man City's going to turn up, do you, either?
No, you don't know. I mean, but we'll most probably talk about their next game against Wolves later on. But, I mean, Pep's looking at that team. I think in the last game, he dropped Foden because he said he wasn't match fit. And is it Calvin Phillips they got there in midfield as well?
Yeah.
Apparently, since coming back from the World Cup, apparently he's put on quite a bit of weight. Pep said he would not be playing or being on the subs bench until he actually lose that weight. So this is all the stuff that's flying around, and you read it all. But when you look at the picture of Calvin Phillips, you can tell he has put on an extra couple of pounds. But you soon lose that in training and playing in the reserves, and then just coming on and playing every game every now and then. So I think he's being strict now, Pep. I don't think he's going to stand for no nonsense from now to the end of the season.
I think he's got to, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But then we went on. Well, we went on to Saturday. We caught up, and I'm going to be honest with you. It did finish 0-0. I had this one down as a 1-1, so I did get a point. But Chelsea visiting Anfield 0-0. We were calling this a mid-table clash, and you never thought you'd ever say that with these two teams, but it's true. Potter, I thought his time was up, but he's kind of still hanging in there. And Klopp, I think if he'd been a Chelsea, a Man City, he'd have gone by now.
Yeah, you most probably would have thought that. I mean, the new Chelsea owner, he must have some sort of faith in him. It seems like a Leicester again, doesn't it, with Brendan Rodgers? But he's I think he might have in his mind and say, well, look, we've got Potter here. We're gonna have to give him time, sort the players out, sort this team out. They've got so many players in this squad. I think they won't be allowed to sign anybody next season because the amount of players they've got there and the players on the wage bill at Chelsea this minute is unbelievable. So
I don't know if it's true though, because you hear that it's the owner that's buying the players and not Potter, and Potter doesn't even know sometimes who's coming in.
No, he doesn't. No, I think what we gathered of that was when he was interviewed about Modric coming in, he couldn't even give an answer to the question, could he? No. So he was a bit stumbled on that one. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it is that way. He's bringing in the players, and obviously, as we know, it's Potter's job to get the players playing well, making them gel really quick, and obviously win games for them. Yeah. But in this game, I couldn't see anything. It was a middle table clash. We knew it was going to be a draw. Whether it was a 0-0 or a 1-1, I mean, let's be honest. The teams are they're poor at finishing, aren't they?
Well, I was going to say it says there under both teams, weaknesses were poor at finishing. That was for both of them. And then you look at the strengths of the game, and there's hardly any strength there. There's only one for Liverpool, and you just look at this and you're thinking like, neither of these teams are probably going to make it into Europe at this rate.
No, they're not. They're absolutely not. And I've asked Doug, the Liverpool fan. He's actually predicted that Liverpool will finish sixth this season. Sixth. Yeah. And then if Liverpool finishes sixth, God knows what Chelsea fans are going to predict their club this season. I think they'll be eighth for about eighth. I think Chelsea have finished. To be honest with you.
Well, at the moment, as things stand, Liverpool are in 9th, Chelsea are in 10th. And I know we still got technically half the season to go, but you've got Brentford, Fulham and Brighton above these two teams. And I mean, again, I think Potter was possibly the wrong person for the job. I was surprised when he was appointed. And I think it was a statement from Bowie to sort of say, look, I'm sticking, I'm supporting English managers or British managers. And I don't blame him for taking the job, because let's be honest with you, when I sound like you now, to be honest with you, you, as a manager, and Pearson said this when he went into, and I know you got Pearson at your other club, Bristol, but when he went to Watford, he said, of course I'm going to take the job, because if they sack me, I get a payoff. And I think, in fairness, from Potter's point of view, he looks at it and thinks, well, if I don't take it now, when will I get a chance again? And if I go and I fail, I'm still going to get lots of money. And let's be honest with you, if you and me got the sort of money that they were getting for payoffs, we'd never work again.
No, you wouldn't. No. And I mean, a prime example, you said with Nigel Pearson, and obviously he's at my other team, Bristol, they won't sack him because he's got 3 years left on his contract. And, they've got to pay his wages plus installments after that as well. So this is the reason why sometimes these managers stays in jobs longer than what they really are, than what they should be. So, I mean, obviously the same could be happening at your club as well, Chris, with Brendan, but, but going on from that is, I mean, this game was, it was dire. In all fairness, this game was dire. It had nothing in it. There was
I quite enjoyed it for a 0-0.
There was spells in the game, but the spells in the game, with me, I thought Chelsea had more chances to win this game than what Liverpool did.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But obviously they couldn't get on the end of the ball. Their final third of the game. Well, from both teams, the final third of the pitch was dire. There was nothing there. So there's nothing really more that you can say about this game, to be honest with you. It's just, it's just like, oh, right, it was 0-0. Oh, right, okay, then. There's a shock.
Well, you mentioned Brendan before. He's still in situ. And we got our first point of the season, of the new year. I mean, this was so annoying, and I was doing the watch along, and I was utterly, I'm not going to lie, I was pissed off. And yet I had predicted a draw. And had you given me a draw at the start of the game, I'd have bitten your hands off.
You would have, yeah.
But then to concede with 2 minutes to go, it's such a Leicester thing to do. We'd gone 1-0 down. Mitamina for Brighton and Hove. What a player. I've seen a few Arsenal fans saying, have we bought the wrong Arsenal player? But he had a fantastic game, and it was a great goal. I mean, he should have been shut down, but you can't take that away from him. It was a great goal. But then Brighton had to come on for another injury for Pratt. Barnes got a goal, which makes him joint top scorer. And I say they got that equaliser in the last minute. Fair play to Brighton, because a lot of people said, oh, we should be beating teams like Brighton. Blah, blah. Brighton, they stuffed us 5-2 earlier in the season.
Yeah, they did.
It's the first time we've got any points at all off a top half team this season. That kind of sums our season up. But, nothing should be taken away from Brighton. I mean, their manager was unbelievable when they got that equaliser. He was doing his old Jose Mourinho impersonation running down the pitch. But Brighton having a great season.
Yeah, they are. You can't fault Brighton at all. Obviously, they're playing well what's up against them. And you just got to look at the Premier League table, and is there in front of you in black and white, basically. So, and I know what you're saying. I know you was frustrated because I was actually watching a bit of your watch along as well. And at that time, the score was 1-1. Then you was winning 2-1. And then, listen, I got to say one thing, Chris. When it's watch alongs, do not spoil it and put the scores in the chats, in the comments. Right? That's all I'm going to say. Right? But yeah, it was 2-2. I mean,
in fairness, somebody did, and I went a bit mad at them for doing that.
Yeah.
But apparently, it had come up on the one thing on the screen, and I was just annoyed. Yeah, yeah. We always say no spoilers, but
But I mean, this game, you couldn't fault yourselves playing, Chris. I know it's got him when a team scores like in the last couple of minutes of the game against you, because it feels like you played well. I got to be honest with you, the best player I felt you had on the pitch, or one of the best players you had on the pitch, was Barnes. On that left-hand side, I thought Barnes was brilliant on that left-hand side, and I think there is talent there with him. I don't know what you or other Leicester fans feel about Barnes, but every time I've watched him play, I don't think he plays a bad game. He comes up, he steps up to the plate, he scores every now and then. He can create goals as well. So, but I mean, this is a good result for Leicester.
Yes, it is. It's the point. You know what I mean? We'll take it.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying about Barnes. I mean, Leicester fans, and I guess you could say this from a few clubs, but Leicester fans seem to have a pick on a player that you're thinking like, what? Why are you moaning about? He came back under Prell. Prell brought him back on loan from West Brom, and he saved his. He saved Prell's probably job that season, and then the following season he was absolute. Oh, he never shoots. He gets into these great positions, and he's looking to pass. Why isn't he shooting more? And then the next season, he was taking pot shots from here, there, and everywhere, and everybody's going, "Oh, he's so greedy." Why isn't he, passing and look? I'm thinking the poor guy can't win. It was like people hated Ben Chilwell when he was at the club, and yet he was England's first choice left back. But we were all so. To me, he's joint. People that are saying, and Craig, Craig that does the show with me, he doesn't like Barnes, and he thinks, he says that, that keep picking Barnes is what will cost Rodgers his job. But Barnes is the joint top scorer. How can he not? How can you knock that? And the thing I like about Barnes is he actually goes at the opposition. He doesn't sit, and he doesn't always come off, obviously, but he does at least have a go and goes in there. But no, looking back, once that's kind of settled and sort of got over the fact that we'd lost it in the last couple of minutes, I was pleased. And I say we shouldn't degrade Brighton by saying, well, we should be beating teams like that. Brighton are 7th. They are probably going to get into Europe in some. Sorry, they're 6th. Sorry, they're probably going to get into Europe in some way this season. I have a feeling. So let's not decry Brighton. They're having a good season, and their new manager. I thought when Potter left, I thought, oh, that's it. It'll end now. But they've got another unknown.
Yeah, you would have thought he would have actually struggled with that. And to be honest with you, you look at the results compared from what Potter's got at Chelsea to Brighton. They with Potter leaving, they got the right manager there.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's a different style of play. I think you compare Brighton from last season to this season with this new manager coming in. Yeah. I feel that under Potter, Brighton defended more, but now with this manager they seem to be attacking more, and their defense stayed back. So they've got. So if they get done on the counter attack, Brighton, they've got the defense and and McAllister there at the back ready for that to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So they got a really good team there, really good team and a good manager. They'll go into the I think is it the Europa Conference?
At 6th, I think it could be. I think it's the conference that they will go into. I think what was annoying as well from me is that when we were winning, we were actually on sort of joint points with Tottenham. Oh, sorry, with Nottingham Forest. Sorry, who were losing at the time. They got a point, and they are the sort of the next game up. I mean, fair play to Forest, and I can't understand how come Forest are still buying players. They bought that many in the summer. But they had to, and I accept that they had to make those purchases because there was a lot of loans that they'd had to go back and a lot of players that were out of contract. So, yes, they did have to go and buy a load, but they're still buying players now. I don't know what's happened with FFP. But, they're 13th. I didn't think they'd go down. They're probably going to get, they probably are going to stay up. Bournemouth... I'm not sure about Bournemouth. They're in 18th at the moment. They're going in the wrong direction for me, Bournemouth.
Yeah, they are. They're going in the wrong direction. And unfortunately, if there's any Bournemouth fans watching, I know you're friends with a Bournemouth fan, Chris. I know you are. I can't avoid it. But unfortunately, yeah, I think you're going to be playing Championship football along
Lovely
with
place,
Everton
Bournemouth. Can I
next
just say
season.
that, by the way? Lovely place, Bournemouth. If you want to
Yeah,
ever come to
yeah,
holiday,
yeah.
Bournemouth, and they're lovely. Fans are lovely. And I've always said that about them. So you carry on.
But I mean, if anything, it's fair shake to Bournemouth in this game. Get nicking the point because I had Forest down for the win. I think I put Forest down as a 2-0 win, maybe on your predictions last time. But they hung on in there. They got the point. Forest is like what I said. They're signing too many bloody players. I mean, they've got Chris Wood now, haven't they? So
Yes. He lasted
that
at
was
Newcastle, didn't he?
yeah. But I mean, maybe all these players, you feel like, well, but yeah, with all these players, you've got to give them time to gel.
Yeah.
But in one way, I suppose they have sort of not 100% gelled, but I suppose they've gelled maybe 50% because they seem to be picking up points, don't they? A draw here, the odd win there. So they're obviously doing something right. And it's like what you said. I think they'll stay up as well, Chris. I think they'll finish. I think they'll finish around about maybe 15th, 14th at a push for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth, they went ahead. Again, they let it slip in the 83rd minute. And is it Steve Surridge? It's definitely Surridge getting the goal, who a couple of weeks ago was absolutely being panned by the Forest, couldn't score in the old proverbial ladies' house.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Up and rescues them a point. I had it down as a 2-0 as well.
Oh, did you?
Mm.
Yeah, I think me and you had a few because you wrote mine down on a bit of paper, and I think me and you had quite a few of the same scores in the last prediction show.
Yes, I think we did. Like I said, I think Brad's going to be asking you back after this week that he's had.
Yeah.
He had the best week he'd had in ages was last week when you stood in for him, and his worst week is this week when he's back.
Yeah. Well, he's I think he's the Frank Lampard of score predictions.
You've just lost a friend, I think. Villa visited Southampton. Your ex-manager, Unai Emery. Good evening.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, it wasn't the most exciting a game. Southampton could claim unlucky. Was it 2 goals they had chalked off for VAR or 1? I'm not sure.
I can remember it being 1.
Maybe it was the 1. If you look there, I mean, the only strength Southampton had were stole the ball often from the opposition. Villa's strengths were stole the ball often from the opposition. Exactly the same. Yeah. Were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities. I think this was probably the most, for me, and I've only seen highlights, obviously, but for me, I just shouldn't have watched the Chelsea-Liverpool game again.
Most probably, yeah. There was nothing in this game. I know it was. I think was it Watkins that scored the goal for Villa?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was dull. It was boring. I mean, they were even mentioning it on Sky Sports News. I can't remember who was actually commentating, like obviously throughout the game.
Oh, it was Watkins. Yeah, Watkins that scored for Villa. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you should know. I mean, you work on Sky Sports News, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You work on Sky Sports News. You Chris Kamara standing.
Oh, Anthony Kamara. Yeah.
Exactly. I watch that every now and again. It still makes me chuckle. But yes,
I watched that last week.
Did you?
I did.
But Southampton, I thought, had maybe started to do their usual thing, and they were just going to stay up and what have you, because they've beaten Man City in the cup, and fair play to them for doing that. I mean that's not an easy thing.
No.
And I'm just trying to see because they won a game after that as well. Where are we? Yeah, because they beat the Everton, which all right, doesn't everybody sort of thing, but that was a 6-pointer for them. And you're thinking, oh, maybe. Think now, I can't remember the VAR whether they got it right or not, but it's dropped Southampton back to joint bottom with Everton.
It has, yeah. I mean, it's worrying times there for Southampton and Everton and Bournemouth. But I mean, when they pulled that result out the bag against Man City, you were thinking, God, bloody hell, are these? Are they going to be on the up this season? And depending on obviously the teams they've got play. I mean, I don't know what Southampton's running's like going into February. I don't know who they've got, but they haven't really bought anybody, have they, in this window, Southampton?
No,
I haven't really.
The next game is Brentford, which you would away at Brentford. So you've got to think that that's probably on current form a home win there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a week off. Got a week off, obviously, with the FA Cup.
With the FA Cup, yeah. But it's nice to charge your batteries, like sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's worrying times. But this game was flat. It was dull. It was boring. I know it was like the last. I think Villa scored in like the last 5 minutes of the game or something stupid like that.
83 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just absolutely boring. I mean, to watch. I think I think both teams were playing. I know Unai Emery likes a 4-3-3. Whether Southampton played that as well, and they kept cancelling each other out the games, and and all that. I mean, it's like they're the strengths. I mean, what was the strengths? It was just winning the balls off the opposition, wasn't it? Basically. So that was it. So it was just still this game.
Yeah. I mean, Southampton. I mean, they only have the weakness, which were poor at finishing, but that's probably one of the main ones, isn't it? I mean, I've got to say I was happy because I went for a 1-0 to Aston Villa, so that was one of my 3 pointers. I'm pleased to say. You've had Emery, obviously at Arsenal, didn't work out. You replaced him with Arteta, and we'll come on to that later. Is he the man that can do well at Villa? Because he turned down Newcastle allegedly, and now he accepted Villa.
Yeah, I feel that. I think Unai Emery. I think he's one of those that he likes a challenge. I mean, obviously, he didn't get much of a challenge at Arsenal. He knew, like with Arsenal, he was going to finish obviously in the top 5. And he accepted that, and he did well because the players that we added to the squad was dead wood. Most of all those players have gone now. That Unai Emery managed at Arsenal, and as you know, Arteta's come in. I think Arteta's been, he's doing a fantastic job at the minute. You can't fault Arteta, for what he's doing. But I think with Aston Villa, they've got a very good manager there. I mean, his CV proves that, Chris.
Yes.
You've just got to look at his CV, give him time. He knows what sort of players he wants in, Unai Emery. And I'll tell you something now. I think Aston Villa's got money to spend.
Yeah.
I reckon they have. We haven't seen much of it,
got some of the Grealish money, haven't they? I don't think they've spent all that yet.
No, that's right. Yeah, they haven't spent all of that. I mean, obviously, they've sold Danny Ings now, haven't they? They've got rid of Danny Ings. So I think you're going to see at least one or two more players coming in to Aston Villa. I mean, Emery's one of those. He tries to get a player at the last minute before the seconds and the minutes starts ticking down. So, it is. But yeah, I'm enjoying. I mean, apart from this game, but you couldn't fault Aston Villa what they've done and what Unai Emery has done for them this season. He's turned them round. Not, I won't say completely, but he has partly turned around. He's like a boat sailing the wrong way. He's just gradually getting them onto the right course. And
they beat Tottenham. They beat Leeds, and obviously they beat Southampton. So they won 3 of the last 5 since the World Cup's come back. Losing to Liverpool, which fair play. They drew with Wolves, but yeah, I mean they're in 11th. I think they'll probably finish sort of mid-table. Like I say, 1-0 for me was good because I predicted it right. The game I didn't predict right, but was probably it was called El Sacchio, and it turned out to be El Sacchio for one of the managers. David Moyes still in situ. Everton, I mean, just look at that. I've never seen one of these before where there's absolutely no strength at all.
Yeah.
I mean, West Ham are in trouble. They're down
Yep.
there with Leicester fighting, to stay up. They've had a couple of good seasons like Leicester, and now they're struggling. But they've created a high number of chances. Stole the ball often from the opposition. I need new glasses, I'll tell you. Were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from long shots. Were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from set pieces. Were strong at finishing. And like I say, and then just look at Everton, and there's nothing in their strengths.
No, there's nothing in their strengths. It tells you about the Everton team all around. In this one, and it was just dire. We knew what team was going to win this game. Yeah, the losing team, their manager was going to be sacked, and obviously it was Frank Lampard. I don't know if there's any truth in this, Chris, but Frank Lampard's dad, Frank Senior, apparently he was the one that picked the Everton team for Frank. And Frank was obviously on the touchline shouting out instructions to the team. But it was Frank Lampard's dad that picked the team. I read that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that, but if that's the case, wow. That's all you can say to that. I mean, I know when Gerrard, because I spent New Year's Eve with a Scotsman, and he happened to be a Rangers fan, lovely guy, my next door neighbour's daughter's partner. And I said to him, "Oh, would you have Gerrard back now he's been sacked?" He went, "Not in a million years." He said, "But the problem is that Gerrard was the face, but he had no idea it was the assistant manager that was doing the tactics and calling the shots." But to have your dad, is it to do with the club calling the shots? I mean, we all turn to dads for help, don't we? But Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
I had this as a nil.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I read that. I'm thinking, blimey, what's your dad picking the bloody team for? I think what it was, he felt sorry. I think what I read was he felt sorry for his son, obviously Frank, and Frank asked him for a bit of help, and he said, "Well, I'll pick the team for you, and then take it from there." But obviously, look what's happened.
And pick a team that you've not been watching, you don't see it training. Oh, that's weird. And if that's carrying on, then it's unreal. Going down, I think Everton, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're going that. Yeah, you're down.
Good night. The shock result of the weekend for me.
Yeah,
this one. Palace 0, Newcastle 0. I mean, this to me is. I mean, I know everybody's looked at Leicester and said that's the way that we want our club to be run. Blah blah blah. And I know Newcastle have they're not the richest club in the world. That's a misconception. They've got the richest owners in the world, and there is a big difference. But obviously they've got the money there. But the Newcastle owners, they're not doing what Moshiri is doing at Everton. They seem to be spending sensibly. They're not going in and saying, "Right, okay, we're Newcastle. We know you want 30 million for this player. We'll give you 40." They're going in and negotiating. And they've got a damn good manager. And I thought that Eddie Howe would be going in as a stopgap, but he is, when he stood down, and we have to remember he wasn't sacked at Bournemouth. He stood down, and he went and he's watched other managers and he's picked up, not unlike Jose Mourinho did with Bobby Robson. He's learned from these other managers, and here you can see where you've got the money, but you've also got a good manager. You do need those two things, and Newcastle have got that. And I could, to be honest with you, see them possibly nicking second.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what you said. I mean, with Newcastle, they've got the owners there, they've got the manager there, and regarding the players, I think they've only got around about 80% of the players there at the minute. I mean, they're strong. well, they're strong in defence. They're very good, brilliant in midfield. That's where roughly their goals are coming from. But unfortunately for Newcastle, they're weak up front. And I've always said that, and it's the same with this Palace team as well. They're very weak up front. But let's have a look at Crystal Palace here. We can't fault them, Chris, because they've had a 1-1 draw against Manchester United. They finished their winning streak in one way, and now they've drawn 0-0 to the third and the fourth team in the Premiership. So things are slightly looking up for Crystal Palace. They're gradually turning the corner under Patrick Vieira. So it's like what I said. They play well against the top teams, but unfortunately, towards the bottom teams, they didn't play that well, Palace. But I mean, this game, I think, even though it was like what we call a boring 0-0, but it wasn't a bad 0-0. If you ask me, I mean, if there were strengths there, I think, I mean, obviously the weaknesses the two teams would have been, obviously they were poor at finishing that final third of the pitch, definitely for them too,
Yeah.
So that would have been that. I mean, they were both effective. I think they were both creative down the wings. Their attacking style of play. The defense was good for Palace because it had to have been, because I felt it was more Newcastle challenging Palace, but then again, Palace had their chances, to maybe nick a goal. But I feel that if I had to give congratulations to any one of these teams, it would be Crystal Palace.
Yeah, fair play to them, because, Newcastle were on an amazing run, and then we come on to Sunday's games. Another 0-0. Leeds Brentford, and again, I suppose, Brentford. Again, nothing down under the strengths for Brentford, and that's surprising for them this season.
Yeah. Chris, I watched this game. It was actually live on Sky Sports main event. And do you know what? In all fairness, my missus cooked the Sunday dinner. I thought to myself, I should have cooked the bloody Sunday dinner, and I would have had her sat down watching this game. To be honest
You
with
hate
you.
her that much, do you?
Yeah. But yeah, Chris, there was nothing in this game at all. It was dull. It was boring. I feel that Leeds had the chance to win it. I mean, obviously both teams were poor at finishing, but Leeds had a couple of chances to put the ball in the back of the net. Brentford was just the attacking was poor. I mean, one of the shots was come from Ivan Toney. It just went blasting over the bloody bar. It was nothing. Yeah, it was nothing in the game. It was just like he took the shot, he turned round, he thought he knew he wasn't going to score it. He just turned round, he just walked off in a huff, like oh well, here we go, and that was it. It was nothing. There was no charisma in the game or anything.
Score it, yeah, that's what you got to remember.
Yeah,
Ivan Toney. That's going over your head, isn't it?
That has gone over my head. I didn't hear
Ivan
you.
Toney with his betting scandal.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, with his betting scandal. I don't think anything's going to come out of that until the end of the season, though, Chris. I think he had played now for Brentford, obviously, right up to the end of this season, and then that's when they're going to look into it, is when the season finishes.
I had this as a 2-0 to Brentford, so I was disappointed.
Yeah.
It doesn't look a good game, and like you said, you sort of sat through it. Now I'm sure I'll just sit back and let you get excited and sort of raise your camera up a little bit so we don't see how excited you get. But oh no, sorry, this is the next game.
Yeah, I knew he was going to do this.
Let's go on to this one. Arsenal 3, Manchester United 2. What a game! What a game! Yeah. I was watching this. It was well, I wasn't. It was on, as you like, while I was doing other stuff, so I was kind of half watching.
Yeah.
I had this down as a 2-2, so I was well pissed off with Arsenal. Never do anything that you expect them to. But no, I said a few weeks ago, I mean, I didn't think you'd be top, but I said, even straight after the World Cup, that I think this is your title this year, and I do think it's yours to lose. Manchester United, I think, will finish top 4. I really do. I think I have to give credit to Man United. I thought this season would be a rebuilding season, and therefore a season where they might, finish mid-table, but take that because they are rebuilding. But they're not. They're sat there in 4th. But you guys, it's 5 points, but you got a game in hand, so it could be 8 points. You've lost 1 game all season.
Yeah.
What? Arteta out, eh?
Well, let's not go that far, Chris.
I never
job.
did, but a lot of Arsenal fans did.
A lot of Arsenal fans did, and in fairness, I was one of them. When he was appointed the Arsenal manager, it was like, blimey, what experience has he got? But I mean, they got him, they give him a chance. It's taken him a few seasons to get him where they are. He's done a fantastic job, and I'm happy where they are now. So, but with this game, Chris, I watched this game, and I was happy to say that I had a few beers during the game and a few beers after the game. So obviously celebrating the win. But what a fantastic game of football. It was absolutely lovely to watch. This, to me, was a game for the weekend. Both teams did exactly what they had to do. I know Man United lost, but it's like what I've been saying to the Man United fan. Take the positive out of this game, because there wasn't really a negative in the game that Manchester United played.
No.
Not one. I mean, that Rashford goal, I didn't care. You could have been the best goalkeeper in the world. You weren't saving that.
Yeah.
That shot. You could have been the best goalkeeper in the world when Saka scored his first goal when he equalised. You weren't saving that. So do you know what I'm saying?
Goals,
yeah.
You did kind of steal all the good goals from the weekend.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I did see Eddie. Well, all eyes would be on Eddie Nketiah, and he's in scoring 2. He was at the right place at the right time when he equalised. But on the last goal, I thought, when I first watched it, I thought it was offside. And then it wasn't until I actually saw when it was VAR and they showed the replay that it was Wan-Bissaka, it was running back, and actually made the players back on side again. So, it was that, but it was a very close call. But even if the game finished 2-2 and that goal got disallowed, I mean, what an entertaining game of football.
It was. I've got to be honest with you. Game of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
I was kind of sort of, it was there, like I say, on the screen, like it is now with Spurs Fulham, but I was doing whatever I was doing on the computer. That sounds wrong, but it was definitely football. It wasn't anything else. And I looked. It was a great. I mean, some fantastic goals, but somebody said to me, and obviously we know we've won the Premier League once, and that's probably going to be the only time. But
yeah,
people can always say to me, "When did you start believing that you were going to win the thing?" Now it was different for Leicester because we're Leicester, if you like. We're not a big 6 club. Are you believing yet that this is going to be your season?
I mean, yeah, I think you can. I mean, look at the transfers we'd also done in this window. I mean, we could have went in, we could have got Felix, or we could have got Modric, but I think what it was, Arsenal were interested in them, but I think they looked into the depth of the transfer and most probably thinking, well, these aren't the right players for us now, and that's obviously that's why Chelsea stepped in and took them away from us. But I mean, we got a squad that we haven't really got a lot of depth, but the players we signed in Trossard and I can't think of the other name. I'm not going to say his name because I'll destroy it, Chris. The centre back we signed.
What did you go on? Have a go at it. I know you like saying the name. No, I won't do that. I won't do
No,
that.
I can't think of it. But
is Trossard? I mean, are you happy with Trossard? Like I said, we talked briefly before the start of the show, and you know, Mitimimo, see, I'm having your problem. Mitimio, whatever it's called, had a great game for Brighton against Leicester, scored a worldie. And a lot of Everton fans were saying, Arsenal fans, I saw say, "Oh, did we buy the wrong, Brighton player?" Trossard, good buy. But again, you know, the board again, you know, you're top, but they're not sitting on the laurels. They're still strengthening the squad.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was a brave decision. Like, obviously, this game with Arteta taking off Martinelli and replacing him with Trossard, and he was actually involved in the last goal in the build-up and play. Trossard. So, you know, I think he will come on. I think he will come on leaps and bounds. He's Premier League proven. He's proven that, and I think it's not like saying, "Oh, we're going to drop Martinelli and play Trossard there." It's like it's a bit of a resting time for Martinelli. Do you know what I'm saying? So he's not playing every game. He's not knackered. I think what it is, Arteta wants to be a Man City. You could place quality with quality. That's what Arteta wants in this Arsenal squad, and you can actually see that. But you ain't going to see that until 1 or 2 seasons time. I mean, we're gradually filling up the depth in our squad at the minute. That's the reason why we've gone for these players, because we didn't have a lot of depth, and we're still in the Europa League. You know, anyone could get injured in there.
Yeah.
Even Friday night against Man City in the FA Cup this Friday, you know, anybody can get injured in that game. But you know, I feel he's switched on, and he's monitoring his targets. He's using his head in this window. I feel
a lot of Arsenal fans said was, one, we haven't got the squad depth, which you say it's now working. And as you know, even the Arteta outs, even when you're doing well, we're saying, "Oh, well, wait until we come up against one of the big clubs and what have you." Well, you've blown them away this season, haven't you?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I'm not a fan of Man United, obviously, but I've been telling Man United fans.
Playing red.
No, Chris. No. You know what? What you said at the beginning of the stream about these teams trying to stay up and survive and all that, go bloody down, and you know, I can say the same thing about Manchester United winning the bloody league all those years and say, well, let someone else win the bloody league for once. Bastard.
That's fair point. But the process is working, and I know we've had a lot of banter. I've fallen out with a lot of Arsenal fans because of their attitude. I have nothing against Arsenal in particular. I fell out with some Newcastle fans. It's not the fact that, you know, you're being linked with our players. It's their attitude of, well, of course they want to come to us because we're Arsenal. But this season, credit where credit's due. You know, you're smashing it. That said, this team are helping you. Manchester City, I mean, they've gone to Wolves. I actually predicted a 3-0. Yay! It was 3-0. It's quite funny because Steve went 4-0 and Brad went 2-0, and I went, oh, I don't know.
What did I do, Chris? I think I said 3. Did I say 3-0 or 3-1?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Well, let's have a look here. What did you go for? You went 3-0 as well. Yes, you did. Yes.
Oh.
But Manchester City, they're not consistent this season.
No.
They're dropping points where they wouldn't normally. You know, they're lost in the cup, which they wouldn't normally. But fair play to them. They are still in there battling. And Wolves had been having a little bit of a resurgence. Yeah.
I mean, Pep's not going to give up without a fight. We know this, Chris. You know, that's the sort of manager he is. We like to call him Manchester City, but just for tonight, we're going to call him Haaland City. That's what we're going to call him. I mean, phenomenal. Look at it. I mean, this is his 4th hat trick this season, Chris. Haaland has scored. This guy is just an absolute scoring machine. Literally, is it 25? I think it's 25 Premier League goals, but 31 goals all in total.
I think 24 or 25, but I think he's already equalled the Golden Boot winner from last season.
Yeah.
I mean, you say, and it's all over, by the way, Spurs have won 1-0, so I do get another point. Brad doesn't. And, I can went with that again. Going back to the season we won the league. Vardy was on fire. Yeah. He couldn't do any wrong. He got the 11 in 11 and all this, and which Haaland could well beat this season if he does. Fair play to the guy. If anybody's going to do it, I think it could be Haaland. But sometimes one player can just make all that difference. And when you look at what they paid for him compared to what they paid for Grealish, I mean, it's got to be the bargain. I mean, everybody says that Vardy was the bargain of the century, although it was last century, in fairness. But the bargain of this century has got to be Haaland.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I think it was only, 51, 52 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at, I know his wages are extortionate. I think he's on something like 500k a week, or something stupid like that. But I mean, does it make a difference from how much his wages to how much obviously you paid for him? They had to put some money down for him, and to me, it's money well spent. It's like what I said. This man is an absolute machine. He is a scoring machine, and it is a joy to have a player like this playing in the English Premier League.
Yes.
It's going to get frustrating, Chris. More so if you're an Arsenal fan, because he's the one that that's going to obviously win Manchester City the Premier League if they do win it. Yes. This is what we're worried about. If he can avoid what people say about when he gets injured, but with Haaland, when he played for Borussia Dortmund, he never got injured. The only thing that injured him was himself, because the size of him, he used to get muscular injuries and stuff like that to himself, and he used to be out for a while. But that was what it was. It was all to do with muscular injuries with Haaland because of his posture of his body. But I've got to be honest with you, they're a fantastic team. It only takes one game for Arsenal. 1 or 2 games for them to slip up, and as you know, Man City's back in it.
Yes,
so
it is. But at the moment, it's looking good, and fair play to you guys. Just out of interest, and I am just sort of totaling up. We don't have a prediction show this week because it is the FA Cup. So we're back in 2 weeks. But can I just say that Brad, as I say, without you, got 2 points, which takes him to 114. Steve Leinnick's got 4 points, which takes him to 89. But somebody else, and I don't know who is the third person in the. Oh, it's me. I got 9 points, and I'm on 116.
It's so difficult not to look smug at this point.
What can I say? I'm just going to total up now what you would have got for Brad had you done it again. Right, so you went 2-0 to add up these points. So you went 2-0 for Crystal Palace, Man United. So you wouldn't have got anything there.
Right.
You went 2-2. Get a ruler. You went 2-2 for the Manchester City Tottenham.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have got any points there. You went 1-1 for Liverpool, Chelsea, so you would have got 1 point there.
Okay.
You went 2-1 to Forest, so you'd have got nothing there.
Right.
You went 3-1 to Brighton, so you'd have got nothing there. Maybe Brad's not done so bad. You went 2-0 to Aston Villa, so you'd have got 1 point there. Because it was 1. You went 2-1 to West Ham, so you got a point there.
3.
It was 1-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, 2-0 was. 2-0 West Ham. Yeah.
You went 4-2 to Newcastle. 4-2 to Newcastle over Palace. So your goal fest definitely didn't come through there.
No.
You went 3-2 to Brentford. Those two games really let you down, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
You went 3-0 Man City Wolves, so you got 3 points there.
3 points. Oh, right. So that's 6 points.
Yeah, because you were dead on. You got the right score.
Yeah.
You went 3. What did you do? Arsenal. You went 2-2 Arsenal Man United. So you got no points there.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody went 2-2 for that one. And you went 2-1 to Fulham.
Yeah.
So you got no points there. So the week before you did get 12 points, but this week you got half that, 6 points, but still better than Brad's 2.
Still better than Brad's 2, yeah.
Yeah. But so I can say 4 points. 4 points for Steve, 2 for Brad, 9 for me. What can I say? 116.
6.
Do what man. It's not fixed. You've only got to go back and watch the show. You know what I mean? But no, I'm doing what Man United did to Newcastle that season. I've been crawling him back a game.
Crawling back.
Time.
You are. Yeah. So what is it? 2 points between you and Brad, is it?
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blimey.
2 points.
You most probably want me to step in.
Well, 2 weeks there, you would have done better for him this week.
Yeah.
Definitely. But right, the table as it stands: Southampton 15 points from 20 games, Everton 15 points from 20 games, Southampton 17 points from 20. Bournemouth 17 points from 20 games. Are your 3 to go down, do you think?
I think it's safe for them to say they're going down. Yeah, it is obvious. I know with it just needs a win, and then when you win, it takes it up from. Well, blimey, it could take it up from Leicester, can it?
Definitely. Nobody's
18.
safe in that.
Nobody's safe
really.
there. I think from Palace, I could most probably say from Palace down, really.
No,
From
you
12 plays down.
you could be right. I mean, Brad went for Southampton. Well, we obviously we were completely wrong with what we predicted at the start of the season. Brad has gone Southampton, Everton, Bournemouth as being the 3 to go down.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same as me, and as it stands there at the moment. Dave, the presenters, has gone Forest, Everton, and Southampton. Fair play to him, fair play. But like you say, Wolves, West Ham, Leeds, Leicester, Forest. Probably Forest aren't in it now. Well, they said that they're only 4 points. So at the end of the day, it could be. I think Villa upwards are safe, but I think Palace, like you said, Palace downwards.
Palace downwards,
it's scary.
Definitely.
Now the top half of the table. Some team from North London's top. The only difference there after today's game is that Tottenham have now got 3 more points and Fulham are still on 31. So it hasn't changed tonight's game, which is awkward because sort of playing tonight. But it was a battling game. Tottenham looked to be holding on for a lot of the time. But Tottenham got 36 points. Fulham still in 7th with 31. Let me just go through the top 4 that we had. Brad had in this order: Arsenal, Manchester City, Newcastle, Manchester United.
Yeah.
Dave went Arsenal, Manchester City, Newcastle, Manchester United. I went Arsenal. So we all think that Arsenal are going to win it. So enjoy this love that everybody has for Arsenal. It'll only last because we're fed up with Man City. But once you've won it, we'll go back to hating you again. Don't worry. I went Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester City, Man United. But since then, Newcastle haven't done particularly well, and Man City have done well. But I can't see past that top four, to be honest with you, the finishing in fourth. Fair play to Manchester United because they're having a great season. I didn't think they'd do that good. Fair play to Newcastle. Again, don't have a good season, but not that well. Fair play. Manchester City, where you would expect them to be. Arsenal, they're exceeding your expectations, aren't they?
They are exceeding my expectations. I'm really surprised that we're top of the league. I including myself and any Arsenal fan, let's enjoy it while we can. Enjoy it now, being top of the Premier League, and let's hope we win it and also win the Europa League this season because we won the group
now
fixtures.
You're just being greedy, aren't you?
The Europa League fixture, so we got a bye. So we're not in the round of 32. We go straight into the round of 16 because we won our group stages.
Right.
So that's the new rule there. But yeah, it's like what I said, Chris. Is like going to be Arsenal, Man City. Is going to be at Newcastle, Manchester United. Obviously, finishing third and fourth. Personally, I think he's going to be Newcastle because Manchester United's got no money. They've got no money to spend, Manchester United. This is why they got that Weghorst in, obviously to just it's basically because they've got really nobody up front. I mean, Martial is injured from Man United. So Weghorst is up there. Maybe I always say don't judge him on goals, judge him on his work ethics, this Weghorst, because that's what he's going to be doing. He's there, a striker up front, with just doing a job.
I mean, it was a surprise that buy in Weghorst, but like you say, I don't necessarily think he's been brought in for his goals.
No, it is going to be for his work ethics. It's just somebody there up front that can bring the team in more around. The key for Manchester United for me is Rashford. Without him, I don't think Man United would be up there. Is that far up the table, but I think Newcastle. I think you're gonna get a surprise signing at Newcastle by the end of this window on the last day. If anything, it'd be a striker. Newcastle will want, and they will get one. They will find a goal scorer this season. So I think Newcastle will finish third.
Just to have a quick look at this, because this is what we did the other night. We had a mid-season review, and basically. We'll start at the bottom. Sack everybody. Everton, that proved right. Southampton, and we thought West Ham as well. Disappointing seasons. I actually would have had Leicester in the sack everybody, but I was outvoted. So teams that have had a disappointment, and this is like because of what we knew that Everton were going to struggle, but they're doing worse. Liverpool and Chelsea, for example, are disappointing because we would expect them to do better. We would expect them to have been high. So their season is disappointing, along with Spurs and Wolves and ourselves. Could do better, possibly Villa, as expected. So they're where we would have sort of said they might well have been. So Palace, Bournemouth. See, Bournemouth, because we expected them to get relegated. You've got Leeds, Manchester City again, are where we would have expected them to be, and Forest, mid-table, but exceeding expectations. Well done to Arsenal, Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, Manchester United, and Newcastle. And I think we got it pretty much spot on there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you have. I think the exceeding expectations, you've got to look at where Brighton, Brentford, and Fulham are in this league. I mean, I think Fulham, I most probably predicted for them to go down this season as well because they've only just come up. But, they've been fantastic. I think the signing of our old goalkeeper, Leno, I think he's made a big difference there at the back between the two sticks. Newcastle, fantastic. I didn't think they'd be up in the top four. I think I predicted them around about 6th or 7th this season.
Yeah.
Could do better. You say Villa.
For the money that they've had, do you know? Because they had a big injection of cash with the new owners. They got the Grealish money, and that is probably down to the Gerrard.
It is most probably down to Gerrard. Yeah,
because had say Emery been in there from the start of the season, Villa could have possibly been where Fulham are or something like that.
Maybe something. Yeah. But looking at it, Chris, from what you just said, I think you've got that pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
I couldn't argue with that.
Well, we will see. We will be speaking to you every week. See if that smile gets any bigger, or see if it disappears altogether.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's just have a look, shall we, at what is going to be coming up.
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
Next up, it is The Price is Right, a brand new quiz show, and Brad is going for it. He's going to be our first contestant, and he will be. It's quite simple. If anybody watches Anton Deck's new show on a Saturday night, it's a bit like that. Basically, I will give Brad a player. He's got 11 players because obviously that's a team. He'll be given 11 players, one after another, and he has got to guess their transfer fee. He can go over, he can go under, but he's given, I think it's 30 or 40 points to start with. And if he's over by about 5, then he loses 5 points. Or if he's under by 5, he loses 5 points. But if he gets it spot on, he gains 5 points. So we're going to see how that works out. That hopefully should be a bit of a laugh and a bit different. And that's tomorrow at 9. And then Wednesday at 9, I'm speaking to this guy, the legend that is Mr. Steve Lynex. Absolutely. Thank God his footballing was better than his match predictions. He's obviously on the prediction show every week, but we've never actually sat down and had a proper talk about his career. So we'll be talking his career and obviously his time at Leicester as well. And that is Wednesday at 9. And just to keep you updated, I've also got David Connolly coming in the week after and Russell Osman coming in the week after that. And there's another big name that I'm trying to snare, but I don't know. He was talking to me, but he hasn't spoken to me for a few days, so I don't know what's going to happen on that. But and hopefully as well. So another one, Ian Hume, hopefully as well.
That'll be all right
if we can sort it out. He's over there in Canada now. But so a lot of chats coming up, a lot of one-to-ones. Thank you so much, Anthony, for tonight. Just give everybody a shout out and where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on my socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at my name, Sexy Gooner. Anthony Herbert, sorry. And you can also find me on a show, check this out, on the Manchester United channel. And I'm hosting a show called Gunners from All Corners, where it's all Arsenal content. We get Arsenal fans on there. We talk about the game. We do have a laugh and a banter, and there can be a couple of disagreements throughout, but that's what makes a good stream. So I'm not too sure if we're doing Friday at 9. We may be doing this Friday at 9 o'clock. I haven't been streaming since after Christmas and New Year, so we're hoping to get that one back on.
No problem. Well, good luck with that. Thank you very much for tonight, and we will speak not next week because, like I say, we're not here. We've got another. What are we doing next Monday without you? We're doing something next Monday, but it isn't a review show because it's the FA Cup weekend. What are we doing? Let's have a look. We're doing Room 101. Not necessarily a quiz, but if you ever watch Room 101 on the telly, it's a version of that based around football. So I will see you in 2 weeks, sir. I'll probably speak to you before then anyway and see you in the chat.
Yeah, you would, yeah.
Well done, Arsenal, and enjoy it while it lasts, mate. And we will speak soon.
We will do.
Thanks
See you
so
later,
much.
Chris.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Indeed. So thank everybody who has watched. If you've been in the chat, thank you so much for watching. If you are listening on podcast, thank you so very, very much as well. And of course, the big news with the podcast.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Indeed, we are now part of the TalkSport Fans Network and proud to be as well. Thank you to them for getting me on there. And I will see you tomorrow at 9 for The Price is Right. Will Brad be coming down? But I tell you what, we should have a Southampton fan on because they're coming down or going down, aren't they? I know, a cheap shot, but that's me. Cheap and convenient. Good night. See you tomorrow at 9. Take care.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I Die TV